Can you turn up the bass a little bit? I feel like as a mixing engineer, the comment that you usually get the most revolves around turning something up.
But if I know you well,
you are already all the way to the top and there's no place to go. So what do? Let me share this with you, my friend. I'm relancing now. We break it down, baby. Alright, my friend, thank you so much for being here in another video. And today, I hope I can get you out of a pickle. The same way I've gotten myself out of that same pickle
more than one time.
And I feel like it's always hard in the beginning of mixing. When you're done with your mix and it already sounds pretty good to you, so much so that you're willing to share it with the artist, right? And when one of the first notes that you get is like, can you please turn something up? I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's just like stings right in your heart. Not really because it hurts you or like it hurts your ego or anything like that, but more than anything because 9 times out of 10, you are already trapped in the corner where every level is all the way to the max. There's nowhere to go. And even though there's many ways to get out of that predicament, the one that I found the easiest and the one that I can repeat the most is the one I'm about to share with you. So let's stop the talking, get to the rocking, and check some mixing techniques. Let's go. So here we are in Pro Tools, my friend, and right now I have in the mixing bay Q69K from Nicaragua, a killer punk rock band that I had the privilege to produce and songwrite with. And I feel like it's a little bit of a good example because it's a fast tempo song. So sometimes I feel like we tend to sacrifice the bass a little bit more than we should. Mostly because we tend to slam the meters, but we're talking too much. And this would be the perfect moment for you, my friend, to go get a great set of headphones, speakers, AirPods, whatever you feel comfortable listening to music so that we can have a meaningful conversation in the comment section down below. Okay, so 2 things that we should pay attention. This meter right here is inserted right here on my bass master. So that's going to tell us what's happening when we're summing the parallel chains with the regular bass. This VU meter I have it inserted on the master track. And in that one, we're going to be paying attention to the relationship that we have in bass frequencies with the kick drum and the drums and that kind of stuff. So that way we know if the decisions we're making are slamming the tubas a little bit too hard or not, right? Anyway, let's listen to what we have. And the sound right here is just me playing my P bass and maybe like a B15, something like that. And as you can see, there's absolutely nothing in the channel right here because I'm trying to make sure that this is repeatable. And as a mixing engineer, I want to make sure that if I get different songs from different genres or something like that, I can always like spice up a little bit of the sauce, right? And I don't have to just rebuild or rethink or recreate the tools that I already did, right? So usually I'm just going to bring up a new sound into my mixer, right? But my mixer already has all my outboard gear plugged in. You get the drift, right? Just imagine that I'm getting this bass sound right here. And I'm running it in my bass channel, in my mixer, with all my favorite compression, tape, saturation, whatever it is that I already chose that I like, right? That's my sauce, my sound. But let's hear that example once again. I feel like kind of like the bass relationship with the drums. What I'm hearing, it's kind of like where I want it, right? But maybe the bass feels a little bit too muddy for my taste. I don't have a lot of that definition that I would like to have in like a punk rock song, right? Especially because I know that the singer is the bass player in this band, so he definitely is going to want to hear his bass loud and clear. I can already hear him in my head asking me to put a little bit more definition in that bass. So for that, I already have set up a few chains that I like to test in sounds when they come through my studio. So let me bring the first one out. So it might look a little bit silly, but it's going to make a lot of sense when you hear it actually. So the first thing that I'm doing is like adding a little bit of limiting. And in my case, I would have already prepped the bass to make sure that I'm already getting the kind of like the limiting that I need. Then after that limiter, I have this great plugin, the Abbey Road TG Mastering Chain. There's something about the sound of this plugin and I'm just like literally doing like dumb, silly moves. But for a bass, I found that it works better than anything else. And I ended up basically falling in love and now we're like married because it's in every single one in my sessions. So it's like we pretty much live together, right? Do you have any kind of plugins like that you cannot live without and they just live in your sessions and they're like there all the time? I'll be super curious to hear. Let me know in the comment section down below. And remember, while you're there, like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube. And enjoy this little bossa nova, my friend. I hope your day keeps getting better and better and better. All right, let's keep doing some bass. But of course, when you hear this, you're gonna find out that it's a little bit wild, the sound, and I ended up having to put another limiter.
But let's hear a little bit of what I'm talking about.
First, let's hear it without it, and then let's bring it in. I'm going to try my best to do like a little bit of level matching here with like key commands. Hopefully, it's going to be a little bit seamless and easy to understand what's happening. So let's hear it. want to say that I'm really tempted to just use this one, just boost the level, but it does sound a little bit muddy, and I know that it's gonna affect the vocals because that muddiness that it's got is exactly where the vocal has a weight. So foreseeing that, I already know that this parallel chain is the right decision. So let's examine what's happening here right now. Let's start by soloing the bass so we can hear it a little bit better. So yeah, by any means, we're getting at least maybe 4 or 5 dBs, right, of volume. But if you paid attention in the test, I was putting that fader up and down every time I was turning the parallel chain on and off, right? So we're always having a representation of sort of the same levels hitting my tubas and sort of the same levels here too.
Sort of.
But right now we're not paying attention to that. We just want to hear what the chain is doing. And of course, I can just go in my channel and start putting compression, distortion, EQs, anything. But I feel like that approach is not the best friend of repeatability. And as a mixing engineer, I have to be able to just keep doing more mixes and have them all have at least a minimum standard of the way they sound. Usually the easiest way to achieve that is by having all your sounds, all your saws, everything that you already know works. Your gain structure, the kind of saturation you like to use, the kind of VCA compressor that you might like, the kind of limiters that you like to use, so that you're not having to repeat yourself every single session that you do. And always leaving yourself a little bit of leeway to do changes along the way, right? Because every song is different and every mix is going to be different. So let's examine this first little chain. The first thing that I'm doing right here is a limiter, as you can see. And let's see what that limiter is doing. If you can notice, the first thing that I'm doing is this threshold is always where the note goes down, almost where the note dies, because I'm trying to get the most release, the most sustain from that bass so that it sounds the fattest that I can make it sound, right? Basically taking the most out of every single note. And as you can tell, I have the auto release off, but I have it on the default setting of 1. I felt like that sounded the best to me. And we're going to do a test and hear the both different kinds of release that we can have. Because of course, this lives in my template, which would be having in my mixer, right? You get the drift. So in that vein, I like the parallel chain. Then the next plugin in this chain would be this TG mastering chain by Waves that I really am enjoying a lot. I feel like it does so many things for your sound. And in the playful way that I like to use it, I feel like it allows me to be a little bit careless and just punch things hard. And almost it takes great 808s really well, drums really well, live bass perfectly, percussion, almost anything you throw at it sounds really good. So I feel like it was the right decision to go with this one on my bass parallel chain because bass is one of my favorite instruments and bass is so important to get right. So let's just hear what's happening right here. If you can see, I have a little bit of this, I want to say saturation module on, but I'm not doing anything. I'm just hitting it the way I'm hitting it with my send. Then I have this ultra boost 1.02 kilohertz, which is kind of the most important part of this sound. And then I have this compressor that I tend to turn on and off, and we'll see if we need it right now or not. Like I'm saying, this is my template. I bring it in, but that doesn't mean that everything needs to stay on. I can turn things off and on, right? That's another reason why I love this plugin, right? Okay, so let's hear it with and without this super boost. It just adds this presence, and not just in the high kind of way and high frequencies, but more it's just commands attention. You actually hear the bass. It's right there. It pulls you in. And in the mix, I feel like that's kind of the most important thing. Let's hear it. It's almost imagine that's a volume knob for that particular frequency when I already have that snare hitting hard, the crank of the kick. Those things are sounding already really nice, right? So I'm just bringing some of the bass in there, peaking in that same area,
hey, I'm right here, you can hear me.
And now let's hear this compression setting over here. So the reason why I really enjoyed this particular compression on bass is because you could hear instantly, it just made it so much fatter. Just the way the release behaves, especially in this setting that I have it right now, lets the bass bloom nicely. And in this particular chain, that's one of my main focus. And you're going to see what happens right now when I turn to this last limiter and we start playing with the auto release settings. Let's see. For example, let's see what happens if we put both of them in manual release. Did you notice right there how the note just like blooms a little bit more? Let's turn it again from manual release to auto release. But still not really quite what I wanted. Let's try it on this one. That sounds a lot fatter, huh? Definitely, I feel like with both of them in auto release mode, it sounds the fattest, so they just keep it there. And you know, that's great and all, and you can just leave it at that. It sounds a lot better. But I feel like in the genre that we're in right now, let's hear it. I kind of want to say that I'm missing a little bit of aggression, a little bit of like more distortion. And to be quite honest, I already know that I'm going to be asked to add some of that like clank. So let me show you really quick what we can do with our next chain. Okay, so this next chain is like, I feel like with the name is like very self-explanatory. It's called Clank. And I just hear what it's doing. So yeah, definitely not a subtle effect. And I feel like this makes a lot more sense when you hear it in context of the mix. Not only I feel like it works better for this kind of genre of music, but it just makes it like a lot more exciting. Let's hear what's happening in that signal chain. And let's mute the other parallels so that we can actually hyper-focus on what's happening here. And let's see, first we're starting with this PSA plugin or the Sans amp. And I used to love this plugin to record bass. I always used to have like a DI and then this. And then the DI would probably run it through an amp. But in this case, I only have an amp right here. But in this case, I'm just running this in my parallel chain and let's just hear what it does. It's just adding that definition, you know what I mean? Like that, that basically that aggression, that punk rock. And what I love about this plugin is that you have all these different kind of sounds, like every single one of these like drive, crunch, punch, buzz, and the preamp are just basically different kinds of distortion. Let's hear what they do. First, let me save this guy right here and let's start hearing what happens. So you instantly hear why I like to have this on a parallel chain, like ready to go. Because on the fly, I can just like go boom, 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 and try different kinds of distortion and see which one works better. I can work more efficiently, right? But let's go back to the setting that I had. That definitely brings the bass like right in your face. Like you cannot like miss it, you know, it's right there. Now let's hear it in conjunction with the other one. It's like this one adds all the bass and weight that we need, right? Let's hear what happens again. Let's try to do an A-B with both of them. So you get the drift. Like these parallel chains just like bring the punk rock to them. Now let's forget about the level matching and let's just hear what they're actually doing with my sound. And yes, they are adding a lot of volume, but we know that it's more than that, and when I do the A and B, you definitely hear the difference. Alright, and another one of the chains that I love to use on bass in every single one of my mixes, it's something that I like to use when I need a little bit more girth and a little bit more power. When I need a little bit more like a secret weapon, you know what I mean? And in this parallel chain that I called Sub Bass, I have the Bull Sub Machine by Safari Pedals, which has become my favorite low-end plugin. Like, it just does so many things in just the right way. And not only in the bottom end, but like in the mid-range. It has like a few harmonics that they just sound really, really killer. I feel like it's starting to sound pretty nice right here around 54 Hertz. Let's try to add a little bit of resonance. You know how instantly brings that girth? But like I was saying, I don't know if for this genre would be the right decision. Let's just hear it. See, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, all these different chains add something very, very special to my sound, and I can just adjust the taste by just having these little faders right here. And the thing that I really, really want to drive home is the fact that you can repeat them. But let me stop talking right now for a minute, and let's go get a few conclusions. So there you go, my friend. My favorite 3 parallel chains that I use on bass and every single song that I mix, but I want to share my experience with you in the hopes that you can save a little bit of time when you're trying to get that bass to really, really be rocking and to really command the attention that it deserves in a mix. I feel like when you have the right kind of bass and you treat it the right way, you're making a bunch of different statements. And one of the biggest is definitely that your song is modern. Usually kind of like the more bass or like the better treated your bass is, you would tend to feel like it's a more modern mix, a more modern song, because back in the day, I feel like it was all about the mid-range. But now that we have great equipment to reproduce any kind of frequency that we need, it makes sense that the industries has shifted to have a lot more better bass response. And I'm here for it. But that's enough about me, my friend. Let me know what your favorite parallel chains are for bass in the comment section down below. And remember, while you're there, like, subscribe, and if you can financially support me, smash that super thanks button right here. I thank you so much. And if you have some more time to watch another video, go watch this one right here. I'll be waiting for you right there, my friend. Thank you for being here once again.